They hadn't learnt from 2017 when the same thing happened. 5 years, you had 5 years to set up something better, and in that 5 years you learnt nothing.
There was no immediate assistance for us.
We're in a moment of high stress, a lot of anxiety and a lot of trauma, and we don't know what's going to happen to us within the next weeks or months.
The important thing tonight is that we actually listen to young people and their experiences. We're rebuilding a society and a community in this part of the state where the decisions that we make about what that looks like are going to be inherited by the young people in this room. And to the young people, speak up, be loud, be honest. So important that we hear from you directly tonight.
I feel like I had more warning for 2017 than I did 2022, and I got a lot of these texts after my house had been inundated with water.
A lot of kids were kept in the dark. The way people were finding out was either through word of mouth or just randomly on Instagram. We weren't getting regular updates.
If we were aware of the government policies and programs in place, even before the disaster happened, right, we've got a standard of response that happens every time.
We had about 500 or 600 people housed on that campus. Rather than having any sort of plan beforehand, we just were emergency evacuation centre.
There's so many of us that wanted to help out but just didn't know how.
Just having ways to calm down in the evacuation centres.
Accessibility for people with disabilities.
They should have pre-made packs that they can post out to students so they aren't missing out on that education.
There was financial support in the form of flood recovery payment, but it was complex. The form was long, a lot of people still didn't have internet, or they were told that they were ineligible, their workplace was directly affected, but they didn't get payment for it.
My partner and I didn't see a doctor at all the first year or so after the floods because we just couldn't afford it.
Airbnb was really expensive for a lot of people who were living in emergency housing, including myself.
We think that there needs to be some sort of a cap on housing, maybe some initiatives for landlords to get these young people in.
You're in this cycle of going through people and not getting the help you need.
A major issue for counsellors is a lack of trust. Counsellors should have some sort of time where they do some project with kids.
An increase in the number of subsidised mental health appointments.
Mental health support for young people.
You hear a lot about us being on our phones, but there's not really much to do outside of that.
Being able to have a better plan to be able to help schools after the flood.
More volunteering initiatives targeted at young people and transport to these initiatives.
Help look after the environment. Environmental education is so important.
Floods are quick and they're unpredictable just as much as fires are, so there needs to be education.
Within our curriculum, there needs to be more emphasis on environmental management, both traditional practices and non-traditional practices.
It's really important to educate young kids and young adults on it, because how could you understand what's going on and not want to get up and make a change?
Throughout anything that we do, in government, business and community, to actually come up with positive outcomes that see children and young people thrive in the States means that they have to be at the table, they have to be there from the very beginning, and it has to be meaningful. So I encourage you all to create that space.